This is You're Probably Right. Entertainment first, everything else is just bonus. Opinions, all ours. Sometimes backed by research, but never the final word. There are always exceptions, so take it with a grain of salt and a slight dusting of chili powder.
That's the fight and the fright, we're searching for truth.
Come on.
The quiet answer stays inside. You are probably right, it cuts but it heals, it stings but it feels. You are probably right, I'm born to the cure, the pain in my soul.
That's right.
From blinding to ignite, we're finding the way. From biting to inside, what shadows give way. You are clouded alive.
Oh yeah, how you doing? This is MCM and you are listening to You're Probably Right for another episode. Yeah, I think we're at 263, I think. We're on our way to 300, y'all. Somehow. I believe I was going to cut about 81, but for some reason I've kept it up. There's been different things to talk about, different things to consider, different life experiences that have given me a lot more to say. Remember, this is not a Christian podcast, but it is a podcast by a Christian. Therefore, obviously, my beliefs and most of my opinions will come off that way. And every once in a while, I'm just in myself. And that's why I try not to just say like anything about any other belief systems or actually Christianity, because I don't want to put a smudge on anything that the Bible says because of just my error. So just please understand that. I'm not saying that this is not a proper podcast in like the belief system. It's just that I'm just somebody, so I'm just pulling stuff out of my head sometimes. And sometimes I haven't even considered scriptures. I've just considered what makes sense to me at times. So that's why I'm not calling it a Christian podcast, because sometimes I probably have veered off the path of my opinions and I don't want to throw anybody off. So if you really want to know what the Bible says about these different topics, the best thing I can tell you is to obviously read the Bible and go to a Bible believing church and maybe talk to some of your Bible believing friends. And yeah, so I just wanted to say that. All right. Anyways, welcome to my first time listeners, my regular listeners, and everybody in between. Happy you're here. Please share, please like, please subscribe to anything that I am putting out there. And if you appreciate the work, just let me know that, you know, it makes sense for me to keep going. You know what I mean? Because all good things must come to an end at some point. And I'm not saying I'm good, but I actually say the opposite. Funny thing, you know, I'm just talking about something that has nothing to do with the topic today, but why not, right? It's my show. I've said many times, you know, and I honestly heard this first from, what was his name? John Jones, the fighter, MMA fighter. Somebody asked, are you a good guy being bad, or are you a bad guy being good? And I kind of echo his sentiments in some ways, you know, to say that, you know what, I'm a bad guy trying to be good. You know what I mean? I've done some wrong things in my life. I've done good things in my life as well, but you know, you feel responsible for the things that you've done that haven't been right, you know, and if you're doing stuff and it's not right, then I consider that bad. You know what I mean? So anyway, hopefully some of my podcasts have maybe righted some of those wrongs in some ways. But anyways, let me just get going with this episode. Just to consider, I'm just sitting there thinking, man, you know how it is. Anyhow, welcome back to You're Probably Right. Today, I want to sit with something I believe strongly. I believe it for sure. Check it out. It's simple in theory, but heavy in practice. Trust me, it is. Showing up as you are. Come as you are. Not as a mirror, not as a reflection of what you think somebody else wants. Right there is a very, very difficult thing. You're like, what the heck are you talking about, buddy? Let me read it again. Showing up as you are. As you are, that's right. Not as a mirror to show people what they want to see. Somebody steps in the mirror, what do they want to see? They don't want to see you, they want to see themselves, right? So some people like to show up as mirrors, and not as a reflection of what you think someone else wants. Not as the safest version, you know, maybe put on that shirt that everybody thinks you should wear, right? not as the safest version of yourself, or you believe that will keep you liked or at least tolerated. We all do it at times, though, right? We all fall into the trap of mirroring. I mean, even if you think about body language, right? What shows that somebody likes you is when they're mirroring your body language. And you cross your arms, they cross their arms. You sit back, they sit back. You lean forward, they lean forward. It's an actual thing. I've seen people do it. I've actually purposely had people following me and in my mind just laughing my head off. This person's really following everything I do and shocked that it actually works. Try it. All right. Of softening our voice when someone else pulls back. That's what we do, right? Of matching the lowest common denominator so we don't stand out. Of letting culture, whether it's modern dating, social media, or just the crowd around us, decide what's normal for us. Let me check to see if this door is open. I can't see it on that side. Hang on a second. And it is closed. Good. It's just a noisy place, so I'm just trying to, for your sake. Okay. But here's the truth. Being a mirror, right, doesn't build intimacy. It builds sameness, and sameness isn't connection. Intimacy is built by showing your actual colors. That's why this episode is called True Colors. Remember the song? I see his true colors shining through. Remember that song? I think, who is it? Is it, don't tell me. Cyndi Lauper, right? I think it is, yeah. All right. Because we spend so much energy trying to look like the version of ourselves we think the world wants. But the people who are right for you, the people who are meant to be in your life, don't want the mirror version. They want the colors, the shades, the quirks, the flaws, the voice. That's your voice, not an echo. That's how I feel. I mean, I believe that there are people out there who just want people to be in a little nice, neatly tight package of exactly what they want and they believe. Now, who doesn't want what they want? But at the end of the day, don't you want people to be themselves around you, with you, for the right reasons? Of course, it's risky. I won't lie about that. When you stop mirroring and start modeling, when you lead with what's real instead of what's safe, you will lose people. Some will fade, some will pull away, but that's not loss, that's clarity. Because every person who drifts away after you show them your true colors wasn't meant to stay. And that's just reality. Now you could say, well, maybe the people, if they are more accepting, then maybe they would be. No, well, they're not more accepting. You know what I mean? They weren't rejecting you. They were rejecting the idea of facing someone authentic when they're still hiding in mirrors of their own. Think about how often you've seen this play out. You meet someone, right? New friend, partner, coworker, and they're polite. They're surface level. They reflect back the same joke. They say the same tone, the same energy. And for a while, it feels easy. Obviously, right? Smooth, no rough edges. But months in, here we go, something happens. Real life, stress, distance. Suddenly you realize there's nothing underneath. Because mirrors don't build depth. They only reflect what's already there. Literally, that's what they do, a mirror. Maybe you should listen to this while looking into a mirror. I don't know. It sounds funny though. So I want to ask you a question, right, as we begin. When was the last time you showed someone your true colors right away? I did this. I just I've done it a lot, but I remember one specific interaction, one specific situation. Not the curated version, not the mirror, but the voice note instead of the text, right? Somebody wants a text, you send a voice note. The unfiltered laugh instead of the polite chuckle. The hey, that actually hurt me instead of no worries, it's fine. Because sometimes we say it's okay when it's not okay. Get punched in the face, somebody says, "Are you okay?" No, I'm not okay. I got punched in the face. But most people will say, yeah, I'm okay. Right? Most of us hold back. We wait 3 months, 6 months, a year. We let silence set the culture, then hope to upgrade later. But here's the thing. The culture you allow early is the culture you're going to actually practice later. And upgrading later, that's rare. That's why True Colors is about courage. It's about letting someone see the real palette right from the start. Do you have the guts? Over the course of this episode, I want to take you through why mirroring feels safe but keeps you stuck, how showing your true colors early sets the tone for everything that follows, why fit matters more than fault, the small everyday way you can present yourself as you are, as the quiet sign that tells you if the person across from you can actually handle it. And it's just so much more freeing. I mean, think about it. Do you want to show somebody, yeah, I'm that guy or I'm that girl, and then at some point think you can show your true colors when your heart is invested and the person rejects you once you decide to show your colors after? It's so much more painful that way. You're better off starting off exactly who you are and letting them reject you when you don't care and they don't care, on to the next one. But when you care, after keeping up a facade for a certain amount of time, it's so much more difficult to draw and pull everything back, to rein it all in, to take off those masks. I can't remember the episode. There was an episode I did all about masks. Quite similar. Okay, so today, let's stop polishing the mirror. Let's stop rehearsing the safe version. Let's start living in the real version, the one that might not be for everyone, but will, undeniably, for the right ones. Stop being a mirror. Mirrors are safe. Mirrors are polite. They don't make waves. They don't risk rejection. And that's why so many of us live as mirrors. We get into conversations and we reflect back, same energy the other person gives. If they keep it casual, we keep it casual. If they keep it vague, we keep it vague. If they show no effort, we match that too. But are you comfortable doing that? I'm not. And here's the catch. Mirrors feel like connection in the moment. It feels smooth because there's no friction. But it's not intimacy. It's not depth. It's a reflection game. And it keeps you frozen at the lowest common denominator. Let me give you an example. Someone texts you, right, once a week. And what to do, or what do? You mirror them, right? And that's what people tell you to do. Just reflect whatever they're doing. You mirror them. You text back once a week. Now you think you're keeping pace, right? But what you're really doing is shrinking to their rhythm instead of offering your own. Maybe you want to text 5 times a week, right? What if instead you modeled? You sent a voice note. You let them hear your tone, your laugh, your energy. That's not being extra. That's being real. All those things that can't show up in a text. That's showing your true colors. Now, one of two things will happen, right? They'll rise to meet you, and the culture of that connection upgrades, right? There's a shift there, right? Or they won't, and you'll know right away that they can't or won't show up at your level. Either way, you win, right? Because mirroring only tells you what they're doing. Modeling tells you who they really are. Think about the spaces where you mirrored before. Maybe it's dating, where you wait hours to reply because they waited hours. Or maybe it's at work, where you hold back your ideas because everyone else is holding back their ideas. Or maybe it's friendships, where you mirror disinterest because you don't want to seem like you care too much, you're too desperate, you're too thirsty. Here's the truth. Mirroring may protect your ego, but it starves your soul because it's not who you are. Because while you're busy reflecting, your real voice is going unheard. Who wants to be that? I remember being in a situation where mirroring felt like the only option, where the culture around me, like don't text first, don't call, don't say too much. So I didn't. I shrank. I waited. I mirrored. And you know what happened? Nothing. Because mirrors don't move anything forward. Mirrors don't build culture. Mirrors don't create connection. But the few times I risked showing my colors, sending that voice note, asking for that coffee, saying, hey, I actually do want to see you this week. That's when things move. Sometimes, sometimes forward, sometimes to a clear ending, but always to clarity. This is the power of stopping the mirror act. You find out who can actually handle your true colors. Some people won't. They'll fade. They'll say you're too much. They'll call you different. And that's fine. That's not rejection. It's alignment. It's information. It's information you wouldn't have if you were just being a mirror. Because you can spend years playing the mirror game, or you can find out in weeks who can actually meet the real you. And when you think about it, right, which one is actually the risk, the mirror or the truth? So stop being a mirror. Start being a model. Lead with what is real. Don't just reflect back what's given. Offer what you believe in and let the response tell you everything you need to know. Because the right ones won't want a mirror. They'll want colors. Next, set the culture early. Here's something we don't talk about enough. The culture you allow in the first few months of the relationship or the friendship or even at work is the culture that will be actually carried forward. Think about it. If you accept silence in the beginning, silence will become the norm. If you let inconsistency slide early, inconsistency will become a pattern. If you hide your needs for first 6 months, then you'll eventually feel like a stranger in your own life. This is why I say set the culture early, and also it's easier to set it early, as I was saying earlier. earlier. When you have things invested later, trust me, it's going to be way harder. Now, I know the temptation. You don't want to be labeled. You don't want to be called needy. You don't want to be too much or too serious. So you play it cool. You mirror. You shrink. You tell yourself, I'll bring it up later when things are more serious, right? When they're more attached to me, then I'll let them know that I have a sixth toe or something. But here's the problem. Later rarely comes. By the time you've built a pattern of silence, you've already trained others what's acceptable. And trying to upgrade that after the fact feels like changing the rules halfway through the game. So, what does it mean to set the culture early? It means showing what matters to you without apology. I mean, it matters to you. So, why would you apologize for what matters? Do you understand? You're being a hypocrite, being a mirror, really. But I mean, nobody wants to say that. But I just did. You see, if I were to sit here and just play patty cake and tell you what you want to hear, well, maybe you'll tune into the next episode. Whereas if I tell you you're being fake, if you're being a mirror, maybe some of you will go away and not come back. But those who are real, those who are supposed to be here, those who can handle the truth, will come back wanting more. You see how that works? What do they say? Those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Something like that. Let's see. If check-ins matter, let that be seen. If honesty matters, show it in your words. If consistency matters, model it right away. Not as a demand, not as an ultimatum. That's right, ultimatum. Not ultimatum. But as the standard you live by. Because the truth is, people will always reveal whether they can meet you there. And that's valuable information. I'll be honest, it's scary though, as you probably know. There were times in my own life where I thought, if I say this now, they'll think I'm too much. If I admit that I want more consistency, they'll leave. Under the pressure maybe. And sometimes, they'd leave. But what I realized later is that they weren't leaving me. They were leaving the culture I created by being real. And that was the best gift I could give both of us, actually. It's clarity. Because what's worse, losing someone early because you showed your colors, or losing years in because you hid them? It's hard when somebody leaves and you're invested. I believe most people listening to me can fully understand what I'm saying. If you're totally invested in somebody bounces because you've shown the true colors, like, man, I should have shown my true colors way early before my heart was all over this thing. Here's what setting culture early might sound like. When I don't hear from you for days, I start to feel disconnected. I value touch points. I'm not saying we need to talk constantly, but consistency matters to me. I want us to actually spend time together, not just keep it surface. Those aren't demands. They're truths. They're culture signals. And when you send them early, you find out, can this person live in the same culture or not? And that's the information that you want, right? So don't wait 6 months to bring your true self into the room. Don't pretend silence doesn't bother you if it does. Don't fake low maintenance if you're not. Set the culture early, because the culture you allow in the beginning is the culture you'll be living in the end. And your true colors deserve a culture that can carry them. Fit versus fault. Too often we get trapped in the wrong courtroom, the courtroom of fault. We spend energy arguing about who's right or who's wrong. I think we should talk every day. Well, I think once a week is enough. And we go back and forth trying to prove that one of us is correct and the other is mistaken. But here's the truth in a relationship. Most of the time, it's not about right or wrong, it's about fit. Think about it like shoes. You might love a pair, right? They might look great, But if they don't fit your foot, you can't walk around comfortably in them, no matter how stylish they are. In the same way, two people can't both be good people with valid needs. One person may genuinely be okay with silence, the other may genuinely need daily connection. Neither is wrong, but together they might not fit. Fit is all about zooming out. Instead of asking, am I right? Are they wrong? You ask, does this work for me? Do I feel wanted here? Do I feel safe here? Do I feel like I can be myself here? Does this rhythm feel sustainable long term? Those questions aren't about fault, they're about reality. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is admit that they don't fit. I've seen it in my own life. There were moments where I thought if I just compromise a little more, maybe this can work. But the truth was, it wasn't about compromise, it was about compatibility or incompatibility. One person needed constant reassurance, the other valued independence to point of distance. Neither of us was wrong, but together we weren't constantly in conflict. That wasn't fault, that was fit, or rather the lack of. And here's the relief in recognizing that. When you stop trying to prove what's wrong, you free yourself to ask really the question is that right for me? That question will save you time, it will save you energy, and it will save you from trying to comfort yourself into shoes that will never fit. I'm going to grab a different chair. Hang on. I'm not feeling this chair either. Oh, there we go. All right, we'll see. Because true colors don't need to be argued into place. They need to be matched, right? Leading with your voice. Now let's talk about what it means to lead with your voice. I don't mean volume. I don't mean frequency. I mean the quality of what you bring into a room. Most people measure presence by how much they're around, how often they text, how many hours they spend together. But leading with your voice is different. It's about bringing something real each time you actually show up. Think about the difference between a text that says, hey, and a voice note where someone actually laughs, stumbles over a word, or tells you about something silly that happened in their day. One is a ping and the other is a presence. When you lead with your voice, you offer pieces of yourself, and it's risk, right? You're being seen. And that's what makes it powerful. Now, leading with your voice also means being willing to set the tone, even when it feels uncomfortable. It's saying, I actually do want you to see, I actually do want to see you this weekend. Instead of waiting for them to ask, it's admitting. The silence threw me off. Instead of pretending it didn't matter, it's offering, this is what feels good for me, instead of hoping they'll guess. These aren't demands, right? They're invitations. Invitations for the other person to step into a culture of honesty and connection. Because if you really think about it, right? Let's just say you're a person who will lie if you deem it necessary to lie, to make things run smoother, to make the story work better, you lie. But wouldn't you rather not have to lie? Wouldn't you rather just to be authentic, bring your true colors? I've had moments where I've sent that message, that one that felt a little too honest, the one that risked being called extra. And I'll admit, my heart raced every time. But you don't know, or at least you know. Check it out. You know what happened. Check it out. The people who couldn't handle it faded, and the people who could, they leaned in. They responded, they matched me, and everything worked out way better. Leading with your voice isn't about getting everyone to stay. It's about finding quickly who are the right people and who want to walk with you in truth. Oh, this one's even noisier. If you move. Sorry, guys, my back's off. So I'm here wiggling in the seat. And the other one was making so much noise. But when this one makes noise, it makes some serious noise. Anyhow. So don't be afraid to speak with your real voice. Don't settle for surface level echoes. Don't wait for permission to be genuine. Lead with your voice and watch who joins you there. Because your true colors aren't meant to be whispered, they're meant to be heard. The quiet metrics. When you start living in your true colors, you begin to measure relationships differently. It's no longer about how big the gestures are. It's not about the flowers, the trips, or the long captions on social media. Those things are fine, right? But they're loud. They're easy to fake. The real test is in the quiet metrics. These are the subtle signals that tell you whether someone can actually carry your true self. Here are 3 I want you to pay attention to. Repair. When something goes wrong, how do they respond? Do they shut down, deflect, or blame? Or do they lean in, acknowledge, and repair? Because in real life, missteps happen. Words are said too sharply. Messages get missed. Plans fall through. The test isn't perfection. The test is, can we find our way back when something goes down, right? Second, rhythm. Does the pace of your connection feel sustainable? Not just in a honeymoon phase, but 6 months, a year, 3 years in. Can you keep this rhythm in the real grind of life? Or does it feel like you're sprinting now only to collapse later? Because we all know, if somebody says sprint and you're running around a track, you can only sprint for so long. Eventually, you're going to have to lay off big time. And the longer you wait, the longer you're going to have to chill out. Reach. When life gets busy, when stress piles up, when distance enters, do they still reach? It doesn't have to be perfect again. It doesn't have to be constant, but do they make the effort to remind you that you matter, even in chaos? These quiet metrics are what show if the relationship is alive or if it's only performing. Because it's easy to shine in the spotlight moments, right? Because you're in the spotlight. But the real test is what happens in the shadows, in the daily rhythm, in the quiet repair, in the small reach. That's where you face, who am I? What am I? What am I giving? That's where your true colors either get honored or they get ignored or shut out, right? Anyhow, so let's pull this together. We started with the ideas that mirrors are safe, but they don't build intimacy. That setting the culture early matters because the culture you allow at the beginning is the one that you'll live with later. That fit is more important than fault because not every good person is the right person for you. That leading with your voice means risking honesty instead of settling for echoes. And that quiet metric, repair, rhythm, reach, tell you whether someone can carry your true colors. This is the work to stop hiding, stop mirroring, stop presenting yourself, or start presenting yourself as you are. Not the safe version, not the polished version, the true version, you. And yes, it's scary. You will lose people. Some will fade when you show your true colors. But we all know a lot of people fade even when you're showing fake colors. Some will call you too much. Some will choose someone else. Some will choose someone who mirrors instead of someone who's real. And they usually pay for that. But that's not your problem. But here's what you gain: you gain your time back, you gain clarity sooner, and most importantly, you gain relationships that are built on something sustainable like rock, not on sand. Because the right ones won't want the mirror, they'll want colors. So today, I want to leave you with this. Stop trying to polish the mirror. Stop trying to be the version of yourself you think will be accepted. Instead, show up with your full palette, speaking with your true voice, leading with your true self. Because the ones who are meant for you, friends, partners, colleagues, they'll see those colors and they'll stay. Not because you mirrored them, but because you dared to be yourself. Anyhow, keep your true colors going, okay? Oh, this was just a little ditty, a little short one. But mirrors don't cut it, you know? And I understand, you get into a relationship and you wanna impress the person. Maybe it's the prettiest girl you've ever seen. Maybe it's the most handsome, the richest guy you've ever seen. Maybe he's the strongest you've ever seen. And you're like, well, I want to keep this guy around because this strength is something that I'm very, very attracted to. So I'll play the game. But you know what they say. You mess around and play the game, you find out, right? Play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. It's not sustainable to be fake. Some of us get angry when things don't work out, when you know that you weren't being your true self in the beginning. When things start to unravel, it's generally when you start to show your true self, your true colors. So the best thing is, as I said before, show your true colors right off the bat. That doesn't mean you have to over reveal. You have to say too much, right? But just be honest. Don't say you value children and you're a horrible parent. Right? Don't say you love kids, but you slapped a kid in the head yesterday. Like just be real. Like, come with your real stories. People really appreciate your real stories. And a lot of the time, they have to sit with it. So just because somebody doesn't nod and say, oh yeah, I like that. Oh, you've been married twice? But at least you give them the opportunity, right, to pass or to continue finding out more about you. And then later you won't feel judged when they say, what, you were married twice on your fourth date? There's just no point. Now, I'm not saying you have to blather it out right away, but if it's important to you, if it's an important thing in your life, why hide it? Out of shame, just because she has a big booty or something like that. Like, just be yourself. You understand? Just be yourself. It's either the person's going to accept who you are or they're not. And then everything won't be all weird and squeamish later when you have to reveal the real you of what you've done or where you've been or who you were with. I'm just saying. Anyhow, do you? This has been another episode of You're Probably Right. Take care. I'll see you again, okay? Peace out, MCM. Hey, come check out You Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 dogs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while, understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.